Here we have a pre-owned 2013 Ford C-Max Hybrid. This one comes in the SEL trim level in ruby red metallic. And then we have beige leather interior. The powertrain consists of a 2-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder hybrid setup, mated with a CVT. And we have a net horsepower rating of 188. So coming around the front end here, I actually like the design here, especially in the SEL. Love how the grille and all that chrome looks. We have our halogen headlamps and fog lights. And just a little bit of road rub there, or curb rub, excuse me. And then coming around to the wheels here, like the look of these, 17-inch aluminum. Really good look for this SEL. We get passive keyless entry on the front, and then we have our power door lock controls here, and then we have our power window controls here, which are gonna be all one-touch automatic up and down, rear window lock here, and then power mirror controls are here, so you can just pick a side and then adjust that way. And those seem to still be working. Storage pockets in there, bottle holder there. And then we have our headlamp controls, auto, low beams, corners off, and then fog light toggles there. And then there we have our power driver's seat with power lumbar support. So seats seem to have held up pretty nicely over the years. I mean, it's a 10-year-old car. A huge shout out to John Roberts Nissan for allowing me to review this today. I'll leave a link below to the car as well as their entire pre-owned inventory in the description below. There's a buyer's guide. But I have that seat up front adjusted for someone of my size, being 6'3" with longer legs. So let's go ahead and take a look at this leg space. So crazy interior. I'm very impressed here. I have that seat up front adjusted for me. And then when I'm sitting like this, my legs are barely touching the back of the seat. And then you have seat back pockets on both sides. And then this one even has an aftermarket rear entertainment system, which is pretty cool. So you can run your DVD players through there. And then you also have aux, SD card, USB, or a phone you can hook up there. And then you can push this to open it. And then DVD players right in there. So shout out to AudioVox. Rear AC vents. And you have a 110 volt 3-prong household plug-in right in there. Yeah, this is definitely used for road trips or something because I have this thing decked out. Cup holders are in there and it's still a little filthy. I love that we have the premium dome lights here. I'm gonna get to the front and show you those in a minute, but grab handle here. Could probably hang a shirt or two on that hanger hook. But coming around to the back here, we do have rear parking sensors. No backup camera on this one. But this is just a super practical car. Looks like this one even has a spare with a wheel on it for whatever reason, the old headrest. But probably lift that up with something underneath. That wheel's too heavy though. Then we have side net pockets on both sides, which I like. But coming around to the rear passenger side, you can hit this, and then these will fold flat when the seat's up far enough. So what I can do is actually take that, fold it down, and there's your space there. And then pretty easy to just lock it back into place. But a super practical car. I'm concerned about how it drives, but other than that, I mean, it seems like just everything makes a lot of sense in here. 4-way manual seat there. Glove compartment here, which is huge. Owner's manuals are still in this one. And then I'm gonna go ahead and pop the hood. And there's that 2-liter naturally aspirated hybrid setup. Well, let's go ahead and make our way back to the driver's seat. So leather wrap steering wheel seems to still be in great shape. I can tell by just all the controls and everything, somebody was driving this to work and tended to put on makeup on their way there. So it's all over all the controls, but for the most part, the leather's in good shape on the wheel. Now we do get the sync system in this C-Max, so we can connect a phone pretty easily, walks us through that, and then you can add a device, and then once it's ready, it'll go ahead and
sync on your device and select sync once it is found.
Like I said, walk you right through it. Excuse me. Now over here, we have our eco settings. So I love this because I can see what's using the battery power when the engine's running. I'm gonna keep that up during the test drive. And then radio here, we do get AM, FM, along with Sirius, USB, we have a CD player, and then of course with the sync system, we do have Bluetooth audio, SD card reader, and then audio, video in cables as well. Now we do get dual zone automatic climate controls too, which you can control either from the screen here, or you have buttons down below. But the screen is actually pretty intuitive. I can decide where I want the air to come from. Sorry about that. And I can set my auto mode there, the AC. I can either set it to dual, or I can just start adjusting this temperature and then the dual mode will come on. And then again, same controls are down here. And then I can decide where the fan direction is coming from as well. Fan speed here, toggle temperature, auto mode, defroster, all of that. So super nice setup to have it on the screen, as well as buttons and knobs down below. And then the eject button for the CD player is there, which is right up here. And then we can go to our sound settings instantly, toggle the bass, mid-range, treble. Then we can use this as a tune knob, go through our sources here, and then volume, and we can use that as a mute there. And I love that we can use the hazards here, and then it'll tell you right here, I don't know why I tried to push that, but when the doors are locked or not. So when I lock it, it tells me there, and then unlock it there. Now for the shifter, you just grab this lever here, reverse, neutral, drive, and you have a low gear, and then you can hit this button here, and that's your hill descent control if you want to use that. And then 5-stage heated seats, which I've never seen before for this one, for the driver, front passenger, and then 12-volt there. And then we have our emergency brake. Center console space, pretty good size, and 2 USB ports and an SD card reader in there. View of the back from up here. And now this is interesting. Dome lights are here, and then you can turn all of them on with this button, and then you can set up whether it comes on with a door or not, and this will illuminate yellow, so when I open the door, it's letting you know that it's not going to come on when the door is open. And then over here, this is the color palette for your ambient lighting, and you can decide how bright the light is here, and then you can also cut on the dome lights from right there. Sunglasses holder here, universal garage door transmitter here, and then back to the steering wheel, blinkers, high beams. I love that you can toggle them on and off, and you can flash there. And then windshield wiper controls are here, one time, and then off, intermittent, low, high. And then you can adjust your intermittent here, and then you have a rear wiper as well, so you can off there, intermittent, and then high, and then turn it off there. Pull back for rear wiper fluid, and then push up for front wiper fluid. And then gauge cluster controls for your regular stuff on the left side. You can go through all of that there. So trip, go through that. It'll show you how much EV power you used. And then settings, driver assist, all that's here. And then you have your cruise controls on the left side. And then this is for your right side gauge cluster. So those two sides are going to be digital, which I like. So you can actually go through your presets, click there, and then you can go back, go to your phone, compass, efficiency lead. So that's nice to see. That kind of shows you how efficient you're driving. And then your Bluetooth controls are going to be here, volume, and then track list or radio station presets here, voice recognition there. That also serves as a Bluetooth button, which is pretty cool. And then I love that we have push button start. And then finally, here is our key fob. But now to what I'm most interested in. Let's go ahead and take this 2013 C-Max Hybrid SEL out on the road for a test drive. So starting the test drive for this C-Max Hybrid actually has quite a bit of pickup for what it is, in my opinion. Great driving car in terms of just the output and switching between the CVT, or switching between the electric motor and then the hybrid setup, if that makes sense. Kind of got tongue twisted. So while I was driving around the parking lot getting out, it was in electric mode, and then when I needed to accelerate, the CVT did a pretty good job at keeping me where I needed to be. So as I put my foot down, engine revved hotter, the transmission made sure I got more output as it was needed. But with most hybrids, you never really can gauge how they're gonna react, especially if you're not used to driving them. They kind of know more than you do in that aspect, so it knows if you give me this much output, this is what I'll do, so on and so forth. But I'm liking how it's driving so far. And I love this. I figured I would, but I just love how intuitive this is right here, having that eco screen up. So it's showing me when I'm in the electric mode. It's showing me when I'm using the gas engine. It's showing me how, it's just, there's so much going on here. It's super cool. So I'm gonna turn the cruise on now. But I believe we are in the EV mode. So it's using the battery right now. And that brake pedal is super strong, I like it. Now I'm wondering, okay, so that actually serves as a low gear. It's not necessarily a regen. I guess I'm used to that in the newer cars. You put it in that B or whatever, it just maximizes your regenerative mode, and then in an EV, you put it in the low gear and it's just a regen basically. But that's an actual low gear, so. But I'm just loving how, like, I can see how efficient this car is, but it even shows me how many hours on the last trip, the last 5,600 miles. It shows me how much of that was EV power, and that doesn't even include how much EV power was used at idle. So when I'm sitting here just running the AC at a stoplight or whatever, it doesn't include that time where I could have just been running the engine. So this is so far truly impressed me from the power output. Honestly, the ride quality is pretty close to a Prius, in my opinion. That's going to be the direct competitor to this anyway, especially around that time. But it's so easy to drive, and what I like about this is it feels more like a small SUV. So my headspace in here it's got to be like half a foot of headroom there, and tons of space, pretty good room for my hips. The seat is just wide enough. And it's just, I love how they designed this from the ground up. And it's funny how you get into some cars and you're like, why did they stop making this? But of course, as people went towards SUVs, you can get an Escape hybrid. Yeah, as I was saying, you can basically get an Escape hybrid for the same money. So, I shouldn't say the same money, but you can get the same fuel economy from an Escape hybrid. These days, you can't get anything for the same money like you could 10 years ago. This was probably like 35 grand spec'd out or something. Same car now would be 50. We're gonna give it a little throttle here. And I'm keeping up with this truck in front of me. It's pretty agile in terms of just acceleration. And I love how they put the blind spot mirrors in these. So I have one on this side as well as on that side. And it's super, super nice to have, especially merging onto that ramp there. It was nice to see what was coming. I'm gonna put the cruise back on here. And the ride on this is pretty great. I mean, it's very, very comfortable in terms of the ride quality. You don't get that out of an EV. Pretty much any EV. So this is super, super surprising. And I'm not getting swayed all over the place. Wind noise is not intrusive at all. It's just an impressive car. And another thing is, when I put my foot down, it revs hot, but it goes. It really does. So the engine gets super loud when I floor it, but it pulls. We'll do it one more time. Like it's legit pulling. It's quick. But in terms of being able to get one of these, what, it has 123,000 miles on it. Wouldn't be surprised if it lasted another 123,000 miles, especially if you take care of it. And this is so cheap right now. I'll leave a link below in the description so y'all can check it out if you're interested, but it's just a good buy because you're not having to worry about stopping for charging and all that like you do in a typical electric vehicle, but you're pretty much getting similar efficiency, especially if you drive it on the interstate a lot. I shouldn't say similar, but you know, it's definitely good, I'll give it that. But this will bring me to the end of my review of this 2013 Ford C-Max Hybrid in the SEL trim level.